Consumers want to know the facts about the products they buy. But America's agriculture landscape is not easy to navigate. Between different companies, scientific advancement, government regulations, advertising campaigns, and an unhealthy amount of myth and misconception, anyone would be hard-pressed to make sense of it. That's where Real Ag comes in. From the producers who make your food to the store where you buy the final product and everything in between. This is Real Ag. There are many different methods that veterinarians and animal owners and caretakers take advantage of when caring for their animals. But are certain methods, such as drugs or surgery, overprescribed? And are there alternatives to these methods? We will take a look at alternative medicine for animals on this episode of Real Ag. Production of Real Ag is made possible in part by an underwriting grant from
the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by farmers.
Chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage therapies are forms of alternative medicine that are quickly becoming more and more popular methods people are using in the United States as alternatives to drugs and surgery to take care of certain ailments. But how long have they been available for animals?
So it's kind of been around. It's just, I think there's more people that are getting into it and realizing that it's a good quality medicine and an alternative to, just the traditional veterinary medicine of giving meds to treat the symptoms. We actually treat, with the chiropractic, if you've got vertebrae out of alignment, I actually fix the alignment of the vertebrae as opposed to just treating the inflammation and the pain that come along with that. I think people are getting more in tune to more natural modes of therapy, both on the human and the animal side. So I think as it grows on the human popularity, it transfers over to the animal side as well.
Animals are just like us. They have muscles, they have bones. I have my dog worked on to make sure that he's comfortable. I think the body doesn't stay in perfect alignment all the time, just through life, jumping up and down, getting up and down, sleeping wrong. You get things out of whack, and you need somebody to help you keep your body in alignment. It doesn't stay that way by itself.
I think we're just becoming more aware as a society that there's other modalities out there, and that we can use those modalities to improve our animals' health in a more natural way as opposed to throwing meds at them. When I got into practice, I'd have dogs that were sore or hurt, and all I could do was, give them meds and rest them. And so I always enjoyed what the chiropractor did for me, so I went to the chiropractic school to learn how to adjust animals and give them another way to have relief and make them feel better. They do a lot more than what a lot of people think they do. You can use them just to keep the animal moving better and working better. It keeps the nervous system functioning better. And if you can keep the nervous system functioning, then you make everything else function better. As far as the acupuncture, everybody always asks me, why does it work or how does it work? Or, the Chinese have actually been doing acupuncture for close to 3,000 years. And if here in the U.S., most of us are more of a Western mindset, and so we're used to going to a doctor and getting pills or medicine or whatever. If you live in China or India or a lot of other places, you go to an acupuncturist before you go to an actual doctor. So you go get treated with needles and potentially herbs before you go to somebody who might give you medicine or surgery. So historically, it's probably one of the oldest medicine therapies in the world. And chiropractic has been around not quite as long. It was started in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it was actually started by D.D. Palmer and his son B.J. Palmer here in the U.S., and they kind of were the beginning of chiropractic therapies.
We use, in our barn, we use a routine of chiropractic, massage therapy, and acupuncture. I think it helps a lot, just like with us. It's not just, you can't fix everything through medicine. The body gets misaligned, their muscles aren't working properly, you stub a toe and you're sore on one foot for a couple of days. If you don't do anything about it, all of a sudden the other side hurts because you've overcompensated. And so I think it's really important to encompass the horse's whole body and make sure that they're healthy from top to bottom.
Oh, about 20 years ago, I had a mare that had hurt her neck and her back in a stall accident. And she had to have, they said that she had to have DMSO infused in her. And they said that the only way to fix her was to have her realigned, and because her spine and her hips were way out. So that's the first time I had used a chiropractor, and he is also an acupuncturist at the time. It helps you to realign the bones and the muscles so that if you strengthen those muscles get the bone structure right and hold them better, but they have to be aligned right before you fix it.
Many people perceive alternative medicines for animals as being devoid of use of traditional medications, but with the use of alternative medicine, is there a place for traditional medicines, such as vaccinations and anti-pain and other medications?
I use a lot of traditional medicine still with my chiropractic and acupuncture patients. If you have a dog or a horse with a back issue, I can adjust it and make the back feel better and do some acupuncture, but at the same time, I still use traditional anti-inflammatories and pain meds and muscle relaxers to help them feel better in between our treatments.
It gives you options other than just the fact that injecting them with things that they don't really need to work. And trying that first, it's better to go for the alternative first.
And I think they have a place, but for the most part, buttes and painkillers like that mask what's actually going on with the horse, and the horse can continue to function, but that underlying problem is still there. And if you don't address that and fix it, it's going to come up and show itself in different ways.
Butte is basically a horse ibuprofen or a horse Tylenol, and the negatives on those is yes, it'll hurt, or yes, it'll help. But the negatives on that is you don't want a horse to get an upset stomach, and doing foreign, like giving them Butte in the mouth as a paste or even adding it as a powder on their feed. You can do it like that, and sometimes it upsets their bellies, and so you don't ever want to make a horse is never able to vomit. So if it has an upset stomach, a horse can literally die from it. If I'm having a problem with a horse, I'll see if it's an attitude problem first, but if it still continues, there's a check mark that I usually do is I always check their teeth, make sure their teeth are done, because we actually file horses' teeth because they continue to grow their entire lives, so they can get points and get sore there. Because we put the metal bits in their mouth, we want them to be comfortable. We don't want them to have sharp teeth or whatever. So I check that. I also make sure we give them an ulcer medication, and it is a powder that you could do, but it's if a horse has an ulcer, it can get really sick as well. But then if they're still having a problem here and there, a lot of the time I'll have them either adjusted and if it's like a back problem, sometimes shoulders. Whenever we're training horses, and even when I'm training my kids, I teach a horse to be able to be flexible whenever you're riding them, and be able to like tuck their nose or flex their shoulders or hips or rib cage. So really we need their range of motion to be top notch. I had a horse that had in his lumbar area and his lower back, he would get really tight. And so when my youth student would go into the show pen, the horse would actually just get very aggravated. And it was because whenever they're riding him, all that weight is on that sore spot. So we definitely, he had muscle soreness in his lumbar. So we used the acupuncture there. And I had another customer horse that would get sore in his back and also his hips. And his hips actually would be a little unlevel or uneven. And so the chiropractic work really, I felt, really changed that. I could see a relief really right off the bat. A lot of the time whenever the doctor would be adjusting or moving the horse around, they're already uncomfortable, they're already agitated, and once the vet would either adjust them or have the acupuncture in there, you can slowly see that horse just relax into it. So pretty quickly, and then sometimes in bad cases, we usually would do like 2 to 3 times of a chiropractic work, in a couple of weeks, or like kind of in a couple of weeks, we do 2 or 3 sessions.
I would rather try, chiropractic adjustments and acupuncture therapy before I jump to back surgery or neck surgery or something like that, just because it's much less invasive and you can actually maintain, movement in your spine, as opposed to if you have surgery and you have a fusion or something like that, you actually decrease the motion in your spine.
Veterinarians who participate or even specialize in alternative medicine can open themselves up to often overlooked treatments, such as chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage therapies. These specialized veterinarians treat the neurological and musculoskeletal systems of animals, as well as stimulate the nervous system with acupuncture or by performing adjustments to their joints and vertebrae to alleviate pain, restore balance, and improve performance with the use of chiropractic work. Patients may include pets, zoo animals, livestock, and racehorses. Chiropractic and acupuncture, as well as massage therapies, have been delivered by certified veterinarians or alternative medicine practitioners who works with a veterinarian. After treatment, the veterinarians may advise owners on therapeutic exercises that can keep their animal healthy. Routine follow-up visits may be necessary as a part of a comprehensive treatment plan. So, how does chiropractic and acupunctural work on an animal?
So when we adjust an animal or we do acupuncture, we're actually treating the nervous system, not just the skeletal system. And the nervous system controls everything in the body. So by making that nervous system fire at its optimum rate, then we can make the digestive system work better. We can make the muscles fire better. So if you've got today we're working on barrel horses. Those horses are going to feel better, they're going to fire better, they're going to run faster, they're not going to be sore when they're turning the barrels. On the cattle side, cattle get sore just like any other animal, and so the show cattle, I work on a lot of show cattle backs and stuff. They get real sore in their backs, and I know some people that adjust a lot of dairy cattle because the dairy cattle will actually produce more milk when they're feeling better and their nervous system is firing correctly. So a lot of what I do is with performance animals like barrel horses or roping horses and stuff like that, and they typically what you notice is a reduction in performance. Like they're not running as fast as they should, or they don't stop as well as they should, or they don't turn. Sometimes they're painful when you get on them and they may buck, or when you saddle them they may be resistant to when you cinch up the saddle, and sometimes they may be just off in one leg and limping a little bit. And dogs are the same way. I see a lot of dogs that they don't want to jump up the stairs anymore. They quit jumping on the couch, and it's very rare that I get my hands on an animal that couldn't use an adjustment. Even if they do seem normal and healthy, they usually have. It's just like if we go to the chiropractor, there's usually something that you can find to adjust. And I try to tell people, if you keep them on a regular schedule, especially working horses or working animals, if you keep them on a regular schedule getting adjusted or getting acupuncture therapies, you'll have a lot less injuries and a lot less problematic issues.
A lot of what we do in our barn, we start a lot of young horses, and so we're getting a horse that's never carried anybody, never really done any real work, and we're asking them to put their body in a position that's not natural, and we're asking them to change, obviously change the weight that they're carrying when they're carrying a rider. We're asking them to do different maneuvers that their body really isn't used to, and it's just like us. Anytime we do something new, or we carry different weight, or we do a new activity, your body's sore, and your body needs help adjusting to that new situation. And so I like to use chiropractic on my young horses to make sure that their body's aligned, so that they can do what I ask them to properly. The massage therapy, I think, helps keep them comfortable and keeps the adjustment in place. And the acupuncture, I think, really helps any trouble spots specific to that individual that need more time addressing that.
Well, my current horse, Sammy, he has a tendency of having a low neck issue, and I really believe it's because I feed him in hay bags and feeders that are higher off the ground instead of directly on the ground, which causes a strain through this area. Also, with as muscular as he is and showing the way he is, his back is set up differently, and so he needs to have a stronger undercarriage to hold that weight and that structure. And if we don't build the muscles on top of strong bones, then it's just a crumbling foundation.
A horse on some of these classes are judged on how well they move. So we want to see one stride out a little bit more or a certain way in another class. And if we notice that they're not striding properly, that's a definite indication that we might need a chiropractic work or for him to check to see if there's any muscle soreness or anything. A lot of the times when we're doing like a Western pleasure, we really ask those horses to lift up their bellies. Or like reining, they really stop them really, really hard on their rear end. So I would see it as a preventative too, to go ahead and do sessions, even if we didn't indicate lameness, just to make them comfortable as possible. We want to make our horses 100%. We want them to be as comfortable as possible and enjoy their job. I have tons of kids of all ages, and I also have adults that ride. And we definitely do it for fun, and we don't want the horse to hate it. I mean, it should be a fun hobby. So the hardest part is probably if we're having trouble with them or if they're sore, we feel bad and we want to make it as good as possible.
They can't tell you where it hurts. They imply that something hurts, and you have to puzzle it out to where the problem actually is. They can't tell you that their back hurts because your saddle fits wrong unless they act up. And a lot of people think they're acting up just because they're trying to be a pest, when they're actually quite often just communicating the fact that this is not comfortable for me, could we do a different thing?
Although chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage therapies are rising in popularity, are there other therapies that are available?
Yeah, there's some other therapies that can be done. There's laser therapies, some other types of light therapy. There's some electrostim. There's a lot of people getting more into the rehab therapies, like with underwater treadmills and stuff like that. So there's a wide array of stuff. There's a lot of herbal medicine going on that you can get into. I think herbal medicines are probably going to become bigger. They're kind of, considered a big alternative right now. But as more and more people get themselves in tune with herbals and more natural things, then I think the herbals are going to become a bigger thing on the animal side as well. I'm sure we'll get more and more. I think the alternative medicine will get to be a bigger thing as society changes. I think it's becoming bigger in our society to not use so many drugs or antibiotics and medicines.
As people continue to discover alternative options for treatments for their animals, as well as more people improve the qualities of the livelihoods of their animals, the animal will respond with potentials for higher performances.
Horses are great about letting you know when they feel good. They lick and chew and they'll yawn, and they're just enjoyable to work on most of the time. But horses and dogs are probably my favorites. I do cats as well, and I do a number of show cattle, and I do some commercial cattle once in a while. It's just harder to do adjustments on animals that aren't quite as tame.
I have a Doberman who has an ACL problem, and he also has a little bit of a hip problem. And when the doctor comes over to work on the horse, if he's having an issue, then he snaps, crackles, and pops him too. So it all works out. And they're farm dogs, and they run around on the farm with us all the time. And if you think about it, if you just walk across a rough area and you step in a hole and you feel like you've just jarred everything out, well, think about a dog running across a pasture and all of a sudden through tall grass and he hits a ditch. You know, he's just jarred everything out of alignment. They feel miserable too.
From cats and dogs to cows and horses, many animals and their caretakers can benefit from the routine use and practices of alternative medicines. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Real Ag on alternative medicine for animals. As always, you can check out this and other episodes of Real Ag by going to shptv.org. From the producers at Smoky Hills Public Television, this has been Real Ag. Production of Real Ag is made possible in part by an underwriting grant from
the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by farmers.